And we feel the tail as it comes forward. And we go to the side, and I want to take and pull the skin up going behind, underneath, through. And again, that's primarily to help give a sense of the 3D. It helps to define the form spatially. Now we come through, we can feel all the skin pulling around through, over. Feel the ankle. Now we're coming down, foot is actually turned slightly, and I give this a shadow side. And we can, just using the wash through. Now let's carry off up into the head a little bit now. Again, I want to think of the scapula. Scapula is pulling up in here, and I want to feel the spine as it comes down, pulls up. So again, even though that wash is sticking out quite a bit, it's not particularly important. I don't worry about things. I don't mind having my drawings look like drawings. I'm not interested in photographs. Okay. Through. Feel the opening of the ear. Through. And the fullness of the forehead. And we feel the eye socket and the barrel of the tusk is coming out. And get it across the thickness, across underneath. We want to feel this becomes just a simple work with it. Now here's where in the other drawing wasn't very clear. Here you can feel the width of the trunk as we come down. It's really an excellent view for that. We don't often realize how thick and broad the trunk can be. Going through. Now again, feeling the shoulder in. And I would point over the surface, looking scapula, feel the elbow, really very prominent. Feel the pull again. And if you're looking at this, we can see it's very similar to your own forearm. You can feel the muscles pulling down through. Feel the fitting in. Over the surface and down. Okay, now I'll just take and I'm going to drop this in shadow. And you could take and even indicate a bit of the shadow. And move to ground plane. Now, that gets it. Now, if I take and go back into this, I'm making a much stronger, much darker line. So now I can come back in and using really just the tip now. So I come back through. And so I'm drawing with it. And I want to feel going underneath the tail, coming through. And so we have all of these surfaces going around. I want to feel underneath, folds coming through, saggy. And feel the pull. So each time now, you see I've gone back into it, I'm getting a little bit darker, and I can add the drawing or add to the drawing continuously as we go through it. So I can feel corners. I feel the pelvis sticking out a little bit more. Actually, give it cast shadow. You can feel the roundness and the shadow, spine, start pulling back, and pull, and actually the ear is all in shadow, as is the face. And the shadow coming across. And we feel a bit of the tusk on the other side. But that gives you the thing. So you notice that the approach to doing the drawing, very similar, whether I'm working with pencil, working with wash, working with pen. Now, this is a lynx, cat. And let's take in, really, again, it's the same thing. You feel the flow of the way they're going. So I'm taking in same process, go through the volume, through, cross, over. Feel the scapula, and the other side is pushing up, coming down. Feel the elbow coming forward, and the other leg is underneath. Coming through, just picking up a bit of the paw underneath, and he's got his head dropped down. He looks like he's got something in sight that he's going to take and deal with here. The ears forward, coming in, and really the puffy collar. And feel the belly. Now, cats are a bit different than dogs, although that was a rather fat coyote we were drawing. They will tend to have more of a straight body type. Now coming through, feel the flow coming in, through, down, and don't see the tail. Well, they don't have much of a tail. Come through. So now that gets the start here. So I'm going to draw using the pencil. So now as I through, I want to really focus on the fact that he's coming down, drawing over the center. And we can see the end of the nose. The difference between the cat and the dog now is that the cat does not have any, or I should say, the cat has hair on its nose where the dog doesn't. The dog is just that little button nose. So, but here we can come through, we can feel the mouth underneath. Cats, in terms of the structure, for instance, of the jaw, is that they cannot chew. Their jaw goes straight up and down. And so they can stab and slice. But they're not chewers. Okay, so now you can see already, pretty close we're getting the general characteristics. We're going through, and I'm just taking on building, pull the ear in and feel round, coming over the surface. And I feel the skull underneath as I'm drawing, and feel the ear coming up through. Yeah. Now, the neck, first consideration is that's a cylinder that is taking and fitting into the rib cage. This goes back to the other lessons now that we've talked about. You can feel going back, the rib cage is underneath here now. Feel the rib cage through. And cats have a definite, clear waist. The pelvis is like the dog's. It's boxish form. In this case, he's got it tucking in a bit. The difference between the dog and the cat's pelvis is that the cat's pelvis is very parallel. I think with the bones coming forward, where dogs will be slightly wider in the back. Pull muscles. It gives much more leverage for jumping and short bursts of running. Through. The other leg is behind, and we just barely see a hint of it back. We feel the belly coming through now. The scapula is pushing up. I want to feel shoving up. The scapula is taking, and he's coming forward. He's got the leg in the air. This is dropped on this side. So I'm going to actually start to feel the dropping coming through. Feel the fullness of the upper arm, and very broad wrist coming through. And cats can turn their paws this way. They can, if you ever watched cats taking and batting mouse around and playing with them. Through. Paws coming down on the other side. So now this is very quick. We have spent very little time so far now to taking and getting this. So now let's take and go. I want to give a little bit of the character of the coloring so that I can take and, doing this now, I'll take and go the hair in the ear. I was just doing that sort of automatic, and I want to give the tips of the ear, which are typically dark, through. And so I'm going to start to give the tonal range that we see and coming around. And again, I'm using a broad pencil technique. Through. And very concentrated look. Feel the pull and in. Through. I'm giving the accenting the dark. Through. Pulling the tones, shape, general pattern that we come forward and round. Again, I'm not trying to copy all of the tones, as you often see. A lot of very good land or animal drawers, they will take and do really credible jobs of copying all of the textural qualities of skin, for the fur, all of the colorations. I'm not really trying to do that. I just give a general sense. Go over the surface. And feeling the cheek, the actual cheekbone. Through the inside the ear, dark in contrast to the whiteness of the fur coming out. Push dark of the ear. I'm drawing, again, a bit more than I actually see. I'm going to feel the fur. Now here, I'm going to take and give him the lightness of the fur sticking out by using it as contrasting it with the dark behind it. So, in other words, I'm coming in and hitting this coming through.